Hey, Dis After Dark listeners. I want to invite you all to join us over on Scare Zone, Halloween Horror Nights podcast. Scare Zone is a news, interview, history, and commentary podcast all about Universal's premier Halloween event. It's hosted by fans and experts like me, Logan Seculo, former WWE superstar Scotty 2 Hottie, and Dis After Dark's own Chris Ripley. Subscribe however you get podcasts and head over to scarezone.com for more information. We here at the show are proud supporters of Dis After Dark. And remember, keep your eyes closed and your ears open on Scare Zone.
Warning, this show contains childish adult content and is intended for immature, mature audiences. Listener discretion is advised. The views spoken are ours and ours alone, not those of any other bugger. If you're easily offended, we strongly suggest finding another podcast. Everybody neat and pretty, then on with the show.
Of Dis After Dark. I'm Nick and I have no beer, but don't worry about that because I'm joined by Miss BostonWhite. Amanda, how you doing?
I'm alright.
Perfect. And Mr. Chris Ripley.
Hello.
The wickedly talented Mr. Chris Ripley. Well, you're not denying it, so you're obviously okay with the compliments. That's
incredibly tired.
No better time to record a podcast, in my opinion, than when someone's going to fall asleep during it. Guys, I've already announced that I haven't got a beer, but what's everyone else drinking?
I'm drinking Bud, and really, I went all the way to Asda today, based on what you told me, and they didn't have Bud Light.
Oh.
Well, to be fair, they had it in my local Asda, which is a good few hundred miles away from where you are. I didn't know for sure what your Asda's like.
Well, clearly a rubbish one.
True story about my Asda. My Asda has a sign that obviously says it's Asda, but next to it says Walmart Supercenter.
I feel like mine does too.
Really?
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah, and it's got an upstairs and a downstairs, so it's a pretty big one. And
yeah.
Like it should have Bud Light, but it didn't.
Yeah, ours is an upstairs one as well. Oh, sorry, upstairs, downstairs. It's very strange. When I took my friend there for the first time, he thought it was Christmas. To be fair, the first time I took my friend there, it actually was Christmas. It was the 23rd of December, but I just remember why he came over. Mr. Ripley, what about yourself?
I'm not drinking, but I'll be drinking tomorrow. So I don't know when this will come out next. No, the magic is coming out today, isn't it?
Yes, so you're listening to it live. That's right. So you're drinking tomorrow. So why are you drinking tomorrow? What's the occasion?
I'm getting up. I've got to get up early tomorrow, so I'm not going to drink tonight. I'm going to have a drink tomorrow.
Right.
And I'm gonna hunt. Look, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I found out. My favourite bar is Trader Sam's, and I found out that it was copied from a London bar called Trader Vic's.
Eh?
Oh yeah. So I am gonna hunt down Trader Vic's in the next week or so.
Well,
I want to go.
Yeah, we should do a Dis After Dark there.
Okay, let's do it.
I will be in London next week.
It's at the Hilton near Hyde Park, I think.
Well, that's just down the road from where I work. True
Why
story.
didn't you know about it then, Nick?
Well, exactly. Well, it's probably because, funny enough, I work across the road from a Hilton, but it's a Hilton at Paddington.
Oh, okay, I don't think it's that one.
Sorry, actually that's a lie, because it's two. So there's Paddington at Hilton down the end of the road, and the one near my office is the Edgware Road Hilton. But at the end of Edgware Road is Hyde Park.
Okay, I could be wrong on that. It's the Hilton on Park Lane.
That's just off of Hyde Park. Yeah.
That is the one then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you can all Google it now. It's called Trader Vic's. So basically, Disney stole the whole thing from...
let's say creatively borrowed.
Creatively borrowed, yeah. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, Trader Vic's stole the whole thing in the 60s from America. So...
Yeah, it's just the circle of life.
Yeah.
Or the Wheel of Fortune. Of course.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, okay, let's try and sort that out. Well, we weren't going to talk about Trader Vic's, but it's very interesting. Google that, please. It's safe for work, not like the stuff we talked about on our last show.
Did you know what? We recorded about on Universal After Dark about Darren Brown's ride not working. I've had so many messages from people today about that. So people do listen to our podcast.
That's good. Now, funny enough, because just after we finished recording, I had a look myself. Because I thought, I knew I'd seen some reviews of it, and I wasn't sure if it actually officially opened. And apparently, the signs that you saw, so the ride was closed.
Yeah.
The ride is now closed. The signs you saw for the 2017 thing are because they're expanding it.
Right. Well, Mr. Malaby told me, because he's in the know with different people.
Hang on. So that means Lee Malaby heard our podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I feel honoured.
Lee told me he's always the first one to download it every week.
Oh.
So, Lee told me, because he's got connections with people that design UK stuff over here.
Yeah.
That the ride was open, but had to shut down because it was not working properly.
Yeah, it seems to be the 1991 version of Jaws at Universal Studios, Florida. Yeah. It works one day, then it doesn't work for 6 weeks. Yes, I believe there was quite a few teething problems with the whole thing, but the official line I saw today was the sign that you saw.
Yeah.
Was that they are expanding the attraction. I'd guess that means they're also repairing what's there already. But I don't know if they're making it, because I apparently, because of the way it's set up, there's quite a few different combinations. So, like Star Tours 2, you're not likely to ride the exact same ride every time. It'll be slightly different. So I'm not sure if that expansion means that they'll be increasing that as well. The chances of other things changing.
Well, to go back to your Jaws analogy, when that didn't work at the beginning, they actually shut it down and rebuilt it and then extended it. So perhaps that's what they're doing with this.
Did they really? I didn't realise they extended it. I knew they had to basically start again.
They almost from scratch had to start again. There was extra showpiece added, a couple of extra scenes added. And then all of the sharks were completely new, with completely new mechanisms, and all the workings and all the gubbins under the water was all completely changed.
Because am I right? I know. Sorry, Dis After Dark listeners. We are geeking a bit about Universal a little bit. But am I right in thinking that the original Jaws or Bruce, had the weird teeth, had like the carrot-shaped teeth?
I don't think we had it in Orlando.
That was in Hollywood, okay.
But yeah, Carrot Top was in Hollywood, definitely.
Because I've seen pictures of that, and I was like, why would anyone be scared of that? It looks so cartoony.
Very strange. Very. I remember when Universal had the Boneyard, and that used to fascinate me.
Yeah.
You'll remember that, Amanda. I know you. I think I've seen photos of you in it. And that actually had one of the Bruces.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You touch it, and it was all rubbery.
Have you ever touched the cow in the prop store in Universal? That was in Twister.
Yes.
Why does it feel so weird?
Oh, I thought you were going to say, why did someone buy it? Because it got sold, didn't it?
Oh, well, I don't know. When I was there, it was still there.
Oh, okay.
I heard they exchanged it for some magic beans.
But it's like the weirdest feeling thing ever.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it was Scott actually that told me that it's made of fiberglass, and I was like, well, it feels friggin' weird.
It would make sense to be made out of fiberglass. because fiberglass is very light. So when you're trying to swing something around, you want it to be as light as possible. But it doesn't look
it
light.
looks like real cow skin.
Yes.
To a certain extent. But then when you touch it, it's just really weird.
Interesting.
Perhaps it's a bit like them when you go in. Not the Outback Steakhouse, the other one that's near it on the 192. Longhorn Steakhouse.
Yeah.
They've got kind of like stuffed cow heads, but they look quite fake.
No, I haven't noticed.
I miss Outback Steakhouse.
Do you know what? Every time you drive past it now, it's always empty. And that used to be the place to go, didn't it?
Outback, yeah. Well, I mean, I miss Outback here. I used to have two within quite close driving distance.
Wow.
In the UK, and yeah.
Is there any in the UK now?
No, the last one closed. How many years ago now? About 3 or 4. There was one in Romford, which is where I used to live. And funny enough, there used to be one down the road to where I now live. Which we went into the new restaurant the other day because some people took it over, and it still looks like an Outback Steakhouse outside, and inside they've kind of changed the decor a bit, and it's like an Outback rip-off. They even have a blooming onion called something else, but it wasn't as good. It wasn't as expensive as America though, Outback Steakhouse in the UK, so it was kind of dollar to pound prices, but it was good. I mean, it was very, very comparable. The food was very similar quality, but I think if they'd have tried it now, it might have worked. But it was kind of during a recession. They'd come early to mid 2000s. They started opening up over here, but because of the recession, they just started to close them, and then there was 2 or 3 left, and they just went overnight, just went bust. Shame. It is a shame.
Blimey.
Yeah, but there you go. Anyway, we didn't come to talk about American fast food outlets being in the UK, but we'll probably talk about the ones out in America because, as you hopefully would have heard on Universal After Dark, Chris and Amanda went on American holidays. Not together, although they did cross over.
Mm-hmm.
The streams crossed over.
Which is more than allowed in this situation. Now, Amanda, you have kind of already hinted on the podcast, and also before we started recording this episode, that you didn't spend too much time in Disney.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, I spent a fair bit of time at Disney, just not as much time as usual.
So why do you think this year it was all about Universal for you? Or mostly about Universal for you?
I feel like a lot of my friends were hanging out at Universal a lot of the time, and we were just having so much fun at Universal that I tended to stay there.
Now, that obviously a lot of the people that you were hanging about with, or certainly a good group of them, were vloggers or of that kind of community.
Yeah, I mean, plenty of them were vloggers or fellow podcasters or just people that live around that area anyway.
But do you think the culture's kind of more accepted at Universal than it is at Disney?
Yeah, definitely. I think there's a certain amount of like vloggers and podcasts and stuff like that will spend an awful lot of time at Disney. Like, I did bump into the guys from the Dis, but I was really shy, so I hid in the toilets.
Really? Which one?
Which toilet or which people?
Yeah, Craig would like to know which toilets. I want to know which people.
It was Craig and Rhino and Oliver.
Oh.
And it was the night when I was at Trader Sam's, and I didn't know that it was the night that the new Haunted Mansion Cup was coming out. So we got to Trader Sam's, and literally the queue was insane to get in. And they were like, "Oh, it's like a 2-hour wait. Do you really want to wait in this?" And I was like, "No." And then I turned around and the three of them were just stood behind me. And I was like, I was soaked because it had been raining all afternoon. And I just got really shy. So I just ran into the toilets. And then when I was walking out of the toilets, two of them were walking in to the men's. So I just went back in. And I was like, I'm too shy.
Do you know what? You know they say Craig, oh, he's a miserable bugger, blah, 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 blah. Do you know what? He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, that Craig.
Yeah, I think, I know that I'm going to love them. And you know how I feel about Ryan now. I love him so much.
You do, yeah.
And so I was just extra shy. And then I walked downstairs, and Big Fat Panda was downstairs. And I was like, why is everyone here?
Big Fat Panda's cool.
Yeah, but I was too shy then, too.
But the thing is,
I hid behind clothes racks in the Polynesian.
I get the kind of shyness, because I imagine that's how people feel when they meet us in real life, being such superstars. But the thing is, like, they would have known who you were necessarily. So could you not have just walked past them and just pretended that you didn't know who they were?
I tried, but I was like, ew, there's Ryan out here. So I just got really shy and I just hid.
Fair enough.
But then I was really upset about it.
Well, yeah, but that's why you've got to go back.
I know.
It's these kind of things that you go, well, I didn't do it this time, therefore I have to go back, because that, I won't do the same thing again.
Yeah, and plus, I was not waiting in that 2-hour queue to get into Trader Sam's, so I just sat outside on the deck bit.
Did you get a Haunted Mansion cup?
No.
I got mine.
Outside, and then when I planned to go back on the Monday, literally, it rained so much, I couldn't even, I was like, no, I'm going home.
Well, Chris, I heard you say that you got one. How much were they? And the reason I asked that is because I just had some friends come back from Disney World about 2 weeks ago, and I got them to, because my daughter is obsessed with BB-8 at the moment, and I saw those BB-8 cups, so I thought, like a nice little gift to get, like something to give her at Christmas, because she likes, drinks things with straws. She's quite young, and she loves BB-8, so I thought that would be perfect for her. And I thought, I'm going to have to get a brother one as well, because that wouldn't be very nice. Not that he likes BB-8 yet, but I'm sure he will do in time. And they cost, I think they were about $15 or something each. And because of the exchange rate, it means that they were, quite expensive for what they were in the end. So how much were the Haunted Mansion ones?
Oh, God. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they were, I think they were $30, $40, something like that.
Holy cow!
Expensive.
Yeah.
Or, the special cups are really expensive.
What was it made out of?
It's ceramic. China.
Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of makes more sense then, because I was thinking it was just like a plastic effect kind of thing.
Well, they're all, as far as I'm aware, they're all handmade as well. They're all stamped on the bottom saying where they're from. So Trader Sam's, Florida, blah, blah, blah. And then this one particularly is kind of like a grey colour with like a blue wash. And then it's sort of glazed. So it's sort of like a blue and grey effect. It's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Did you get it yourself, Chris, or did someone get it for you?
I got someone to get it for me.
Oh, I was going to say, did you have a drink in it or no?
No. I did get there, but before it was released.
Did you have any drinks there?
Yeah. I always have the Krakatoa.
Well, I looked at the menu for such a long time, and I was like, I really want one of these cups, but I just don't fancy any of these cocktails.
Oh, you'd like the Krakatoa.
Well, in the end, I went for spiky pineapple. Didn't even get a cup with that.
Ah.
The thing is, like, I in a former life, I used to be a bartender that used to specialise in cocktails. So I was all into mixology, and it's quite funny because I know what you mean, Amanda, when you look at drinks, but like I would never drink gin, and I didn't like brandy, but if you make a cocktail, you know, if the ingredients are put together in a certain way, you don't even taste the things you don't like.
Well, I felt like, was it just me or did they all have like cinnamon in them?
No, but they all definitely had rum in them.
Yeah.
That was like the main ingredient for every single
I'm
one,
not
I think.
opposed to a bit of rum, but I felt like every single one of them drinks was going to make me have a crazy eye.
Yeah.
So I just went with a spiky pineapple because I thought it's a Dole Whip with rum in it, so I'll go for that.
Well, there you go. But if you go outside, you can get a Dole Whip in a specialty cup, can't you?
They just gave it to me in a regular glass, and they didn't even ID me.
Oh.
And I was waiting there with my little photocopied passport, Chris.
Sorry. It depends on the age of the person checking.
She was like, clearly you're over 25. Like, you're not getting ID'd.
Ridiculous.
And I was like, all right, then, I guess I'm old.
Amanda, I'm going to make you feel better.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a story. This isn't Disney related, but I'll tell you a story nonetheless. About 16, 17 years ago, I got invited to go on a pub crawl around London Soho, specifically around gay bars, ending up in the club at the time called GAY. Okay, and I'd never been, you know, to a gay bar or a gay club or anything like that. So I thought it'd been like quite a bit of fun. So I was well up for it, and I, for that reason, purposely thought, oh God, what's going to happen if someone hits on me? So I planned what I was going to say when somebody hit on me. I didn't know about gaydars, and needless to say, even in the unisex bathrooms that were everywhere, not one person tried to hit on me. I was devastated.
No.
So I know how you feel about the ID thing. Because it's just like, well, why not? Why won't you ask me?
That's literally what I was like. So I went to Epcot and went to Food and Wine Festival, and I got like an actual adult Dole Whip from there, and they did ID me. I was like, yeah, you take my photocopied passport.
I've got to be honest, I remember because we didn't do a lot of drinking when we went Food and Wine before, but I remember that it was harder for us to get a drink at Universal than it was at Disney. Like, like they were really hot on IDs, more so than Disney were.
I think it's gone round the other way now.
Oh, okay.
Well, I got ID'd every time at Universal.
Blimey.
I know.
I liked it at Discovery Cove because they gave you that pass that tells you your age on it.
You can do that at Halloween Horror Nights.
Can you? Oh, that's good.
Yeah, that
But
saves
they still
time.
ID you even with that band.
Yeah, they still tell you to carry. They still tell you to carry around some ID with you.
Well, I thought that was the point of the band.
I know that's what I said. Like, I've got a band, mate. I'm over 21.
And some people can be quite funny because it's a British passport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not American, they can be a bit like, oh.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I use my driver's license. I mean, how do they know whether it's a real driver's license or not?
Fisher Price logo.
In Toothsome, the girl was like, I've never seen one of these before. And I was like, well, it's real.
Oh, sorry. Because you said it's real, then that's completely fine.
That makes all the difference.
Thank you for showing me your passport from.
So,
thank you for showing me your passport from the Unicorn Company.
But I when I was at uni, I drank a lot, and then I stopped, and then it's only since I had these back problems that I've started sort of drinking a bit more than I used to. And at Disney, I went to Trader Sam's, I went to the new Indiana Jones bar, and I went to the new Magician's bar, and all three of them were absolutely phenomenal. So if Disney's going to go down this route of having these really highly themed bars, then that gets my vote.
But did they not used to? Wasn't that the whole purpose of Pleasure Island?
Well, it was until they got rid of it.
Yeah. Because I never really spent any time around Pleasure Island. I spent more time in Virgin Megastore, and really regretted like when people would talk about the Adventures Club and stuff like that, like how amazing it sounded. And because I don't think they were really pushing it while we were out there. It all started to look a bit tired. And so I think we just thought it was going to be quite lame, especially because like my my experience of nightlife at Disney parks until going down to Disney was the Disney Village,
Yeah.
which was dire. So I just assumed that Downtown Disney was about as exciting as that. How wrong I was, but there you go, lesson learned. So we talked about drinking, which is great. But Chris, what were your kind of highlights of your time at Disney this time around?
Well, I only got a chance to go to Epcot, Magic Kingdom, and then the Boardwalk and Disney Springs. So I didn't get to Animal Kingdom. I didn't get to the studios. And for Magic Kingdom, I only did Mickey's Not So Scary. So I wasn't there during the day. But I did keep away from MGM just because it's a massive construction site.
Yeah.
I'm kind of waiting for Animal Kingdom to have different stuff come online. Because I think when we were out there, all the nighttime stuff had stopped, hadn't it, at Animal Kingdom?
I think so.
Yeah, because there was no nighttime show anymore, was there? That Jungle Book thing had stopped. Yeah. So that was why, and I was a bit tight for time as well, so I sort of had to knock stuff on the head. But I did do the new Frozen ride.
Yes.
So
and I
you both done it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, not together.
No.
Okay.
But I thought I was quite pleased with it. The stuff that I liked from the old ride, they'd still kept bits of it. And I thought the effects were good. I thought the animatronics were good. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. What did you think, Amanda?
I loved it. I waited 90 minutes for this. And the whole time walking through the queue, I was like, this had just better be the best ride that I've ever been on. Because I've never waited 90 minutes. And it was so good. I really, really liked it, and everything worked perfectly.
Yeah, it did on my run through as well.
I didn't know that I took a picture of you, though.
It's a bit redundant, the picture, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird place to take a picture and a bit of a weird picture. But I loved this ride.
Yeah.
Every single day that we were at Epcot, I was like, guys, we're really going to wait for it today. And then it'd be like, 2 hours. And I was like, no. And then on our last Disney day, we were like, we're going to have to just do it. And loved it.
I mean, I think as dark rides go, I've not been on it. I've just seen some of the good videos that people have produced of it. It does look like a really good dark ride. And obviously still using that kind of same technology that was there when it was Maelstrom.
I miss Maelstrom. And I was a bit upset about Frozen replacing it. But I'm not upset anymore. I really liked it.
I particularly like the bit where she sings "Let It Go."
Yeah, and then you go backwards. Loved it.
Yeah, because she sort of she flings her arms open to do the big "Let It Go," the song. And as she does that, it sort of throws you backwards, and then as you're going back, I mean, huge spoilers here. Sorry, turn your off quickly. All the walls light up with like her sort of like her magic directing you out of out of her castle. Really clever.
The effects look great. I know what scene you're talking about, because I've obviously seen that as well. But I mean, I thought I thought all the animatronics are good, but I mean, I especially thought the Olafs they done were very good.
Yeah,
very clever.
That's so cute.
And I'm glad they've done it so well. But how do you feel it fits in with World Showcase?
It's a strange one, I think. I mean, it's not horrible that it's there. It's a little bit strange. But they have these Viking guys that are all outside, and Chris, did you see them?
No.
Oh my god, they're so funny. So funny. They were literally trying to steal my nose piercing. They're so good, and they're just interacting with everybody. And so they've added all little bits around Norway, and so you kind of just forget that it doesn't really fit in.
But Norway was always a bit of a funny one because, unlike the other countries in the World Showcase, obviously except for the UK, it's the only country that I knew quite well. Spent quite a lot of time in Norway when I was younger, and it didn't really feel like Norway.
Oh.
So, but in the same way that it doesn't really feel like the UK.
Yeah.
Stick in a place that does fish and chips doesn't really make, and sells tea. It doesn't really make it British, because I mean the fish and chips. I remember when we watched Illuminations, the Epcot version, not the Disneyland Paris version that's coming. That because we wanted to get our view at that location, that we ended up eating in the Rose and Crown in the takeaway bit, and we got fish and chips, and just was like, this isn't fish and chips. Like, okay, yes, on paper it is fish, it is chips, but that is not British fish and chips. So,
No.
but I mean, people are obviously kind of worried now about, well, Frozen's been so successful, what about doing stuff elsewhere? I mean, they've talked for years and years, haven't they, about a Japanese attraction to go in that pavilion.
What
Yeah.
could we do though?
Well, originally it was going to be, they always talked about a Godzilla type attraction.
No.
Because when you think Japan, you think Godzilla.
Did Donald Trump come up with that one?
Yeah, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And he's going to make the Japanese pay for it as well.
Boom, boom.
And I mean, of more recent times, of course, they've been talking about the Ratatouille ride. Now, Jim Hill has talked about that going in Pixar Place, or whatever that Pixar area is going to be called in the studios when it's fully expanded. But I did also see another blogger this week say that it looks like it could be going into the French Pavilion again, which is where it was originally earmarked for. So I don't think anyone really knows, but maybe because of the success of the Frozen ride, that's now back on the table. And for Japan, of course, you could, I suppose, in a way, do Big Hero 6.
Yes.
Because it's, I know technically it's San Francisco, but it's also half Tokyo.
Yeah, San Francisco, they're called.
Yeah, that's it. So, that could work. And I can't imagine it being a big ride. I'd imagine it being like a simulator type ride or something, but that would be sufficient. I mean, it would just add to that. But, do you want to start seeing the World Showcase be Disney rides or Disney franchises, or do you want it to be kept as it originally was, which was a snapshot, albeit a very touristy centric version of the countries it was supposed to represent?
I prefer it to kind of just stay as it is.
Tricky one, that one.
Yeah, that's it. I think there's pros and cons, but Frozen's definitely made it harder. Set a precedent.
Yeah.
I
think they've had a program for a while though to try and character up Epcot, haven't they?
Yeah. It's always been the kind of land that's a lot of people have argued isn't Disney, which, to be honest, isn't that the point of Epcot?
Yeah.
Is that it's not. I mean, the original concept, and I'm talking not what opened, but the original concept for Epcot, to me, is kind of like a futuristic celebration.
Yeah.
Which obviously Epcot itself isn't anything like. But, it was, what was it, the experimental prototype City of Tomorrow?
Yeah. Every person comes out tired.
So, it's already, gone way past that, but, yeah, I don't know. So, did anyone do Food and Wine?
Every night that I wasn't at Halloween Horror Nights, I was at Food and Wine.
Wow.
Did you see anyone exciting?
No.
Okay. I didn't mean just as you was walking around. I meant because of the entertainment they put on.
Oh, I saw the woman that we were talking about a while ago, who is in the German pavilion, who wears the really too short dress for her age, I think.
What?
Madonna?
She wears like the tiniest dress ever. And she sings all German songs and she does a bit of yodeling. And I saw like the best belly dancer that I've ever seen ever.
Oh, what, Jiggles?
Her hips did not lie.
Oh, she's well known, Jiggles. She's up there with Sticky Vicky, old Jiggles is.
Was Sticky Vicky at the UK Pavilion?
Yes, our contribution to Epcot. Bring your own ping pong ball.
And
No.
pen.
No Sticky Vicky.
I was actually talking more about not the entertainment at the pavilions, but the actual musical entertainment.
Oh yeah, I saw Plain White Tees.
See, our friends were out there for Plain White Tees, and it was quite funny because when we caught up with them last week, we were talking about food and wine, and said, "Oh, who did you see?" And they said they saw, I can't remember his name, but the guy who sings, is it Jeffrey Osborne who sings "On the Wings of Love"?
I have no idea.
Oh, blimey.
You know the song I'm talking about, Chris, don't you? You know, "On
Yeah,
the Wings
on the
of
wings
Love."
of love. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, apparently he sang that for the whole half-hour set. And I can't remember who else they said they named a few other people that were quite 80s centric. But they said, yeah, there was some band called Plain White Tees. Never heard of them. And I was like, that's probably the most current band that was on.
Yeah.
That whole lineup. Because they still tour quite regularly, don't they?
Yeah.
I know not massively famous, but they had a massive song, which you still hear quite often. So.
Well, they played that very last.
Well, of course they did.
I had to sit through the whole entire thing first.
Yeah, it's like if you go and see Hoobastank, they're not going to play the Reason until the encore.
No.
You have to
true.
sit through everything else first.
Yeah.
Okay. But the entertainment was good. What was the food like?
I love food and wine because you know that I'm like a dead picky eater.
Mm.
But I love eating around the world.
And what's it like for vegetarian options?
There's quite a few vegetarian options. Morocco was best. It had hummus fries, which at first they were going to be actual fries and actual hummus. No, it was like fries of falafel with hummus, and they were amazing.
Oh, I had them.
They're so good.
Yeah, they were awesome.
Yeah.
I've never seen them before. I hope they bring them back.
I know, I hope they bring them back too.
Because who was telling me now? The Moroccan restaurant that's built on the waterside. Someone was telling me that you can get them in there.
Oh, really?
If you ask for them, yeah.
Ah. That's good. Well, there's quite a few countries that had pretty good vegetarian options. They usually have one whole little bit for just vegetarian stuff. I think it's called like green something. But they're usually pretty alright with the vegetarian stuff.
Okay. And what about yourself, Chris? What did you find there other than the hummus fries?
I went to a lot of Old Faithfuls. So like the fajitas and the piece of fillet steak with the sauce and the potato, and yeah, a lot of Old Faithfuls this time. I didn't get much time to experience food and wine. That's what I would normally do. We kind of wanted to do Frozen, and we wanted to do the new Soarin'. And we kind of just fit food and wine in quickly between the two, and then we had to go. So,
What did you think of New Soarin'?
I think I prefer Old Soarin'.
I prefer Old Soarin' too.
Yeah, I think you could tell the ones that are computer generated.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, and I felt that. It just, I think there's an authenticity to the old days with a helicopter, and proper landscapes and a kind of little bit of jeopardy, Whereas with the drones and all the other stuff, and then the CGI as well, I just don't think it cut it,
Well, the CGI especially, I think, is the most disappointing element of that. I think that's a real shame.
Mm.
Because it's quite funny, like Jurassic Park or Terminator 2. But I mean, they were like the big CGI films. That's where CGI first started to really become a big thing.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch Terminator 2 now or Jurassic Park now, they don't look that dated. I mean, the computers that they use and, things like that is dated in some of the fashion. But the special effects themselves don't look that dated. And yet, like, some of the films that come out year on year, some of the effects look terrible still that are CGI. You'd have thought that it got better over time, and if anything, they often seem to get worse.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, like, now 4K is like a big thing. So now things that wouldn't have looked so bad 10 years ago are now projected at 8 times the quality they were before. So you can really notice how bad these things look. Yeah, but it's a shame to hear that, though, that it is as bad as it looks.
Well, I'm hoping now that the fact that there's like an incredibly short queue for it because they've got the new theatre, I'm hoping that going forward they alternate it.
Right.
And then maybe they'll have separate queues for one or the other.
Oh, I'd love that.
I think, because it's all right marching forward, and I think you need to do that. But I think also that if you're going to march forward, then everything needs to be better.
Yeah.
And just doing a CGI of the Taj Mahal and pumping some sort of magnolia smell in didn't really cut it.
Well, I sat on the left-hand side. Everything was bent.
Really?
Yeah, like what's that thing called in Paris?
Disneyland?
Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, Eiffel Tower. It was really bent.
Oh, right.
Everything was so warped on the screen.
Well,
I guess you could sit like right in the middle.
It's a curved screen, isn't it? It's a curved IMAX dome, I think, is what they use. And that's always been I've never experienced what you've experienced, but that's always been my thing, my fear, sitting on the edge.
Yeah.
Because it is curved. So things are going to be curved. And, that kind of demonstrates that does actually happen. So, top tip, don't sit on the outside.
Exactly.
Well, you can ask for top middle seat. Not top middle or bottom like Michael Barrymore.
What?
But you can ask for the top middle, and then they'll hold you back, and then they'll put you in the right place.
Okay. That's good.
So,
what else? So you avoided Animal Kingdom and you avoided the construction sites. That's understandable. Amanda, you did go and visit the construction site, though, didn't you?
Yeah, you know what? I had such a fun time at MGM, Hollywood Studios. You can't spend the whole day there because there's not enough stuff there anymore, really. But I love Tower of Terror and I love Rock and Roller Coaster, so it's worth it just to go and do those.
Yep.
So we went a couple of times, just did those, and then left and went to Epcot. And then we thought it'd be a really good idea because obviously they've changed Steven Tyler's hand on Rock and Roller Coaster now. So we did the hand gesture on Rock and Roller Coaster, and Disney blared our hands out on the picture.
I saw.
Amanda did show us the evidence of this to prove that this is not a lie, and it did make me chuckle. I don't think they do in Paris. I'm sure I've seen people do the shocker in Paris.
Like, what? Like, why are you blaring it out? You've had it there for like 15 whatever years.
It's because some disgruntled mum has gone, don't you know what that means?
Well, some disgruntled mom, like, shouldn't be looking at my photo past pictures.
That is a good point. Well made. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So they blared it out, but we had such a fun time going on those two. We went to see Beauty and the Beast. We loved the Beauty and the Beast show.
I've never done it, actually, the Beauty and the Beast show. No.
Me neither.
What?
Well, it's because we're men. We don't like silly things.
Oh, I love it. I love Beauty and the Beast.
Can I make a point of order though?
Yeah.
When they changed his hand on the Aerosmith ride,
hmm
he then went there a few weeks later to go on the ride,
Yeah.
and then he was at Halloween Horror Nights last weekend.
hmm
So what's happening with Steve Tyler all of a sudden in 1 year going to Florida twice?
I think he's ditching Disney and he's going to move to Universal.
I think he's old and he's looking to retire. That would explain him going to Florida, surely.
No, he can't retire. They're doing a tour soon.
Yeah, the I need to pay for my Golden Oaks retirement tour. Golden Oaks is expensive. And
Yeah, it is.
Mick Jagger still does it. Yeah, come on, I like Aerosmith, but he's not getting any younger, is he? Let's be honest. Steve Tyler, please come on. But yeah. But yeah, you're right. It's a strange one. It's a strange one. Maybe he's got some family out there.
Don't know.
Yeah,
Could be.
never know.
I think he's up to something.
Maybe it'll be rock and roller coaster with Aerosmith,
Maybe.
and maybe we'll finally get that Hannah Montana makeover that they promised us all those years ago for Rock and Roller Coaster. You remember that? People actually thought that was going to be a thing.
Where do these rumours come from?
The mouths of idiots that just want attention. Which is why I suggest I told the world that the third gate Universal was going to be Game of Thrones.
Oh yeah,
It just never got.
That's true though, isn't it, Nick?
That's true.
But yes, that is obviously true. That is a rumor I started. That is obviously true. But yeah. So actually, you know what? We've talked about Tower of Terror a hell of a lot recently because of what's been going on. And you know, your other favourite ride there, and probably my favourite ride at the studios, any of the studio parts actually, is Rock and Roller Coaster. So it opened when 99, I think, Rock and Roller Coaster in Florida. So it's been going a good while now, and we talked about Tower of Terror and the fact that, you know, the Twilight Zone and not being very, very cool with the kids. Is it time for a makeover for Rock and Roller Coaster?
No. No.
So you're not
No.
up for Rock and Roller Coaster avec Justin Bieber?
Definitely not.
Oh God.
Because that would time with the, you know, I did the avec thing because of, you know, Canada, you know, French. Okay. Who else could it be? Rock and Roller Coaster starring.
Plain white tees.
No, they've only. That would just be Hey There Delilah for 2.5 minutes. There'd be no combination of any other music. Hanson, there's one. How about that?
I saw Smash Mouth last year.
Oh God, can you imagine listening to All Star going around that? God. Yeah. Thing is, like, there's not really big rock bands anymore, are they?
No.
I can't really think of like a big, you know, like over here we still have bands like Arctic Monkeys, which are very popular and very rocky, but you don't really get the bands like the Who and the Stones and the Beatles anymore, do you?
No, but I think it should just stay Aerosmith.
A Rock and Roller Coaster with Sia doesn't really fit.
No.
Rock and Roller Coaster with the Late Late Show with James Corden, Carpool Karaoke Edition.
That would be pretty funny.
Yeah, so we could do something there. No, I like Aerosmith and I love the ride, but I do think maybe it should be something a bit more current.
I don't know.
They're quite classic though.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are really into Aerosmith. Like, even if they do just know 1 or 2 songs, I feel like it's not that big of a deal if someone doesn't know who they are. Because the ride's so good.
See, Kiss would have worked out really well for that.
Oh my god, that would be amazing.
For that reason, because the thing is, I don't think I'd ever listened. Actually, no, I knew one Kiss song which was God Gave Rock and Roll to You, and that was only because I was a big fan of Bill and Ted when I was a kid. And when McFarlane released the Kiss action figures, I bought the band.
Did you?
Yeah, because they were so, you just looked at them and I was like, they are so cool. I had no interest in knowing anything about their music, but I needed those toys on my shelf. I do like Kiss, and I obviously know who they are, and I'm a big fan of their music. And in fact, we'll talk about that a bit later on, Chris. Remind me.
Okay.
But I think just because of like the iconography and everything like that, that ride would have worked whether you knew them or not. More so than Aerosmith. But the one thing I will say about Rock and Roller Coaster is the songs they chose are great songs, whether you know them or not. I didn't know all the songs on that ride, but I've then discovered those songs after the ride, if that makes sense. So in that way it works. But okay. Did you do anything else in the studios?
Toy Story Mania.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to get a fast pass for it really easily this year with the new track.
Mm-hmm.
But my gun didn't work.
Oh, that's the excuse I use on Buzz Lightyear, but it's true.
But this was true. This was real life. So I had to just sit there the whole entire time, like, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? And then, so I was getting off, and the guy was like, oh, did you have a fun time? And I was like, no, mate, I didn't, because my gun was broke. And then he just let me go on it again.
Awesome.
I know. So I was like,
should.
really? I should just lie every time and do this again?
As they should do, though, because the thing is, like, there's nothing worse. I joked about the Buzz Lightyear, the gun thing, but I have legitimately been on Buzz Lightyear when one of the guns hasn't worked. And there's no fun just going around while someone's able to go, boo, 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 and you're just sat there like a lemon.
Yeah, while everyone else is having loads of fun in your car, and you just sat there like, ugh. Like, as I've just wasted a fast pass on this.
That's it.
But they were kind. They let me go back on it, so it was all good.
And did you win?
No, I'm rubbish.
And was there anything else you went on in your short stay at the studios?
No. No, I don't think that we went on anything. Oh, we went on Star Tours because that's Ash's favourite.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think we really did anything else at the studio. Oh, Great Movie Rides, but we do that every time.
Yeah, while it's still there.
Yeah, well, it's still there. Where it's like, I know it's boring, it's like 25 minutes long, but you've got to do it in case it's Mario next time.
No, absolutely. I mean, I love the Great Movie Ride, even the bits that we've talked about that still scare us. But it's just a bit of a rite of passage. Isn't it? It's something you really should do. It was like the first time we went, I didn't even know Jungle Cruise was at Magic Kingdom.
What?
We didn't do Jungle Cruise because I didn't know it was there. And of course, when I found out it was, because the thing is, we got to remember as well is that it's a big old place. Magic Kingdom's a big old place, especially if you're used to like Disneyland Paris. It's a big place, and I think we just spent a lot of time without the map, so we just went on things that we found, and we just didn't find the Jungle Cruise for whatever reason. So I made up for it the next time I went, but you just got to go on things like that.
Well, I've recently discovered that one of my friends who I was hanging out with this year hasn't ever really spent any time at Disney. Like, they've never been to Epcot. I think they've only been to Magic Kingdom, but years ago, and maybe a little bit of time at Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom. So next year, they're going to be there at the same time as we are again, and I'm going to make them have the best Disney holiday ever and show them everything at Disney.
That is awesome.
And I think that'll be so good for me because I'll get to do all the stuff that usually I miss out on, but it'll also be really good for them and they'll have the best holiday ever.
Yeah. I love going. We did when we went to Disneyland Paris's 20th anniversary, we went with my mother-in-law and my parents. And my parents had been a couple of times before. My mother-in-law hadn't been at all. So it was really good. I mean, it was good to show both of them stuff they hadn't seen before because there was things that my parents weren't aware of. But great for her because everything was new and we was able to just you look at things differently when you've got to do it for someone that doesn't know those things. Exactly. And I think you do take things for granted sometimes because you're just used to them.
Yeah, when you're like, oh, Carousel of Progress, I've already done that.
Well, let's not go crazy. I mean, there are always exceptions in the Carousel of Progress, unless it's a bloody hot day and you want to be in an air-conditioned room for like half an hour.
Yeah. We had to go in there this year because it was so rainy. When it was hurricane time, that called for a Carousel of Progress minute.
Yeah, it serves its purpose.
Yeah.
Last year, I think it was last year, or year before, I did the studio tram tour because I knew they were going to shut it a few weeks later to start doing all the expansion.
Yep.
And oh my God, there was nothing more depressing than going on the tram tour towards the end. Because there was just nothing left.
No.
I can imagine.
There used to be some sets over here. There used to be some props over here. There's nothing over here. There's a crane.
Oh man, I used to like the studio tour, but we last went on it in 2010, and it was dated then. In fact, we spent I recorded it, and we spent a lot of it just taking a piss out of each other, which actually says a lot about our relationship. Actually, that we'll just abuse each other.
Sad, isn't it? Really, because that was like the highlight of the whole place, wasn't it?
That's it. It was, when the park opened. Fling, go away. When the park opened, he was grabbing down the microphone. It was supposed to be a working studios,
and
so the tour was kind of supposed to be a bit of a jewel in the crown, and I suppose it was. I mean, I love like Catastrophe Canyon and that. I think the way they do it is still really cool, and it's like I used to love Earthquake and Universal again. Like it was a bit dated, but just how they get what happens to work in the way that it does and to feel quite real. There's a certain charm to it that you won't get now. I mean, at least what they're replacing that whole area with isn't just sitting in front of a screen, I suppose. There'll actually be some attractions, but even so. So, were there any other highlights of your time at Disney?
Mickey's Not So Scary was pretty cool, but I did talk about that on our Halloween special. But Chris hasn't spoken about his time at Mickey's Not So Scary yet.
It's Mickey's Not So Scary. Woo! I love that song. It is my favourite song.
It's infectious.
Oh, I love it.
Well, we did it the night before our Scare Zone RIP tour, and my partner got injured. She got something in her eye during the fireworks, and we had to spend some time in their medical sick bay, and then the next day we had to go to the hospital. So then I was late for the Scare Zone.
So what? I've had an eye injury, so I know how bloody painful they are. What was it? Was it a bit of debris from the fireworks, or?
We think so. What it was, that night was the 45th. No, I'm getting my dates muddled up. We went back to the Magic Kingdom. We went to Mickey's Not So Scary a few nights before. Then we went back, and it was the night we went back, and it was the 45th anniversary. That was why we were there.
Right.
And that day, you'll remember this. I don't know where you were at, Amanda, but do you remember it just rained?
Yeah.
And rained, and it like all day almost. It just solid rain.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy rain, and then about 8-9 o'clock, it stopped raining. So it was a little bit foggy, it was a little bit hazy, and then the wind got up, and it was then about 9-10 o'clock when they started doing the fireworks. So when the fireworks are finished, you normally have a great big cloud of firework dust, as it were, that usually just kind of disperses off into the atmosphere. But because it was such a heavy atmosphere that night, it kind of all came down like quite a thick fog.
Yeah.
And there was bits flying around, and that's when something went in her eye.
But she was okay.
Yeah, she's basically the outer membrane of the eyeball was scarred by something.
Jeez.
Yeah, possibly.
She was such a trooper.
I know, it was. Oh God.
She's such a tough cookie.
Because really, she shouldn't have come to the Scare Zone meetup, but she was adamant.
She powered through. She was so tough. I was proud of her.
And so it's the outer membrane is slightly injured. So at the moment, it sort of feels like something's in her eye, but it moves around because the membrane kind of just moves around the eyeball. But it's getting less and less every day. So.
As if she's still struggling with it.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Do you think we should put a claim in where there's blame, there's a claim?
Oh, absolutely. And of course, with the massive windfall, maybe a little bit of those proceeds can pay for our Dis After Dark and Universal After Dark trip next year.
I tell you what, I'll write to Disney, and if they give me enough money, I'll take us all out there. How about that?
Oh yeah, don't be silly. I'm not talking about when you get like £2,000 compensation. No, we're talking when you've got millions. That's when a couple of grand might be better to spend on the show trip. But no, I mean, I nothing as bad as that. But I got a bit of wood, a splinter of some rotting wood that we was having to carry out someone's house.
Oh, you're joking.
Got it right in my eye, and I've never felt pain like it. And I've given birth to children. No, clearly not. But no, I mean, it was excruciating. And luckily, I was in North London at the time, so I wasn't that far away from Moorfields, which is like the specialist eye hospital. So I was able to get down there, and it scratched the retina. And they were able to get it out. It was like some of it had already come out, but there was like a little bit still in there, and I managed to get that out. But because I was working, so this was back in my cocktail days, so I was working in a bar, and it was when people still smoked in bars, when that was still allowed. And they said, "What do you do for work?" And I said that I do this and I do that. And they said, "Oh, well, when you've got your bar shifts, if it's a smoky environment, you need to wear an eye patch." And they gave me like this fabric, dressing style eye patch, and I was like, I ain't wearing that. So I went out and bought a proper Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. eye patch, and felt like a complete badass. And I was gutted I only had to wear it for a week. I was like, oh, can't I keep wearing it? Because it was a proper talking point as well.
Just wear it anyway.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I could wear an eye patch again. But not for the reason, I don't want to go through the pain again. That was definitely not fun. So, completely sympathise. But, thinking about that, and the fact that she then went on the Scare RIP tour, was it half as scary?
Well,
I feel like it wasn't.
Well, she shuts her eyes anyway when we go through the houses. So I have to guide her around, and then because she was sort of, like Sif, stuff in face. The only one that was a problem was Tomb of the Ancients, because they got all these reeds and I don't know, like rubber snakes and all this sort of stuff hanging from the ceiling.
Right.
And of course, they were smashing into her face, and I had to sort of try and cover her. And, oh god.
Oh dear. Oh, blimey.
But going back to Mickey's Not So Scary, we didn't dress up this year, and it's the first time we haven't dressed up. Last year I did go as Beetlejuice, and I think I've told you umpteen times about that. But I just wasn't sure of the costume regulations, and this year I don't know what you thought, Amanda, but generally I didn't see as many people dressed up as I had in the past.
Well, I spoke about it on the last one. We went pretty late at night, so most of the kids had gone home. But there was a fair few people dressed up. But it's tending to be now. I think a lot of people are confused about the costume regulations.
Yeah.
A lot of people were more like Disney bounding instead.
Oh, right, okay. Like what they do when they're running.
Yeah, so like where you kind of wear something that's kind of costumey, but could be also taken as just your regular clothes as well.
Yeah.
It was more so that.
Right.
And it rained pretty bad earlier in the night as well, so I think probably a lot of people had got changed.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm like, I love dressing up for everything, so I'll always dress up for Mickey's Not So Scary.
What?
Sorry, Chris, come.
I was going to say, what was your character again?
I was Esmeralda again, but like red dress Esmeralda this time.
But
still nobody got it.
I think that if you can because we've done this once before. We did it a long time ago. We went as the Lone Ranger and Tonto.
Yeah.
And I was Tonto. And that's a whole different story, that one. And we just spent the whole day going around all the thrift stores and all the sort of cheap clothes stores, and we sort of just put the whole 2 costumes together.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a lot of fun because it's sort of like the whole day was like one giant activity.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
You know what I think would be really cool is if I could go to Mickey's Not So Scary with you and Logan, and we all dress up as Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Because you need 3 Beetlejuice. You can get away with 1, but 3 Beetlejuice is even better.
It was, honest to God, the first time I'd ever felt like an actor, because everybody was just shouting stuff at me, which I've never had in my life ever, and I've dressed up quite a few times for these sort of things, but there was so much love for that character.
Oh my God, I totally forgot. One night I was leaving Magic Kingdom and there was a girl dressed in full Chance at Magic Kingdom.
I think I saw her on the Facebook group.
Yeah, I think she'd went to a convention or something, and so she'd made this costume, and I was walking out of Magic Kingdom and I was trying to take a sneaky picture of her. She was really on to me doing it. And she was like real Chance. It was amazing. And I was like, Isaiah, if you're going to Magic Kingdom and dress like Chance, that's the best thing ever. Wish I'd done
awesome.
that. But she was really good.
I love it when stuff like that happens, actually.
Yeah.
But the night...
Chris, I was going to say, if you like people shouting stuff at you, get married.
I already know what that feels like. But the night we went as the Lone Ranger and Tonto, so I went as the Johnny Depp Tonto.
Okay.
And with the white and the black face makeup.
Did you have the crow on your head?
I did have the crow on the head, and I accidentally got in the car after spending an hour putting the crow on my head and smashed the thing off.
Oh.
Yeah. So we had to super glue it back on. But I remember we'd done the night, and it was a really humid night, and we were on the tram coming back to the car, and all of my black and white makeup had just melted all down my face. I looked like the Joker in the original Batman, where I think someone throws something in his face. You know the scene?
In the Burton one?
Yeah, in the Burton one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was like that. It was just all running down my face.
Yeah.
And there was this kid next to me on the tram, and he couldn't have been no more 4 or 5 years old. And he was just staring at me the whole time in terror.
Yeah, because your face is melting like that Nazi in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Or just like that, yeah.
Because I went... Lindsay went as a witch, and I went as a pirate, and we hadn't as much fun as you. We'd kind of gone to, I think it was Party City we went to, and got a few bits there, and then we'd gone to a Target and a Walmart and got bits and pieces there to kind of make up the rest of our costumes, and I was wearing eyeliner, and that, on the same journey back. I don't think it was just because of the tram back. I think it was just, the night in general. But yeah, my eyeliner started running all down my face. So I know what I feel it's like with the makeup running down. So I'm glad you found an actual bird. I think if I'd have done that costume, I'd have probably just cheaped out and bought a copy of The Crow on DVD. And just had that on my head.
But do you know my favourite? My favourite costume, one year, my partner, she went as Elsa, which we did another thing where we made it all from scratch, so Elsa from Frozen. But I went as, because it's Halloween themed, I went as Marty Hopkirk. And nobody strangely got that one. I even had the jingle when Marty Hopkirk appears at
yeah.
I even had that on my phone. Nothing, nobody.
Wasted sometimes, Chris. I think that's a problem with us. Wasted.
We're too old.
although I also think that Randall Hopkirk probably wasn't a big hit in America.
Probably not.
It may have
didn't
been.
make its way there, I don't think.
Yeah, that may have had something to do with it. Which reminds me, next time I go, if I don't get to go as Beetlejuice, I might go as Quincy. Just random old show I could think of. Now, we've talked about Disney. We've talked about Universal as well. Although, actually, sorry, before I'm jumping ahead of myself here. Was there anything else from your visits to Disney that you wanted to discuss that we may not have got around to talking about?
Just one quick thing. The Indiana Jones bar down at Disney Springs. Amazing food, amazing cocktails, amazing, atmosphere. That's definitely a must now.
Is it Hangar Jock's?
Jock Lindsay's Hangar.
Jock Lindsay's Hangar, yes. I should remember that. This is my wife's name. Jock.
Yeah.
Jock. But because it looks good.
Oh yeah,
And it lives up to the hype.
Yeah, I mean, all the drinks are great. The food's really good in there. It's all like small plates, which is what all those bars kind of are.
Yeah.
You've got your novelty cocktail glasses as well, which you can buy.
Okay.
It's just a fun atmosphere. It's nice to be somewhere where there ain't no kids.
Don't know what that's like anymore. Had 6 hours away from last week. Didn't know what to do with ourselves. This is actually something that we haven't really talked about with either of you, but Disney Springs.
Yeah.
That would have been your first time at Disney Springs, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
What did you make of Disney Springs?
I think it's an improvement. I mean, I do miss, as you were saying earlier, I do miss some of the old Pleasure Island. But I think it's a massive improvement. It feels much bigger than it was because there is so much more shops there. I mean, it does feel a little bit like a premium outlet, a little bit. But they have got some very good quality stores there. Although strangely, there's still no Apple store, so I don't know what's happening with that. And then just the number of restaurants. I mean, there's just stacks of restaurants there now. So I thought, yeah, good.
What about yourself, Amanda?
I didn't really spend that much time there. I think I just spent a couple of hours, but I think it's definitely better than it was for shop and restaurant wise. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I didn't go to that bar though, so that's a shame.
But again, a reason to go back.
Exactly.
I love to use Amanda's catchphrase. That's awesome.
That's because you're dead good.
You are dead good.
I did like. I did agree with what you were saying there, Chris, about the premium outlets. It does it does look very premium outlet-y.
Yeah.
Without there being any outlets, obviously, because it's all normal shops, isn't it? But
it is, yeah.
Yeah, but it's odd about the Apple thing because the rumor at the time when Virgin closed was it was going to be an Apple store, and then it was the car place, wasn't it? God, what were those cars called? I can't remember.
The ones that go in the water?
Huh?
The cars that go in the water?
I don't know if they went into water. They were remote control ones, though.
Oh, no.
Jammers. I'm sure they're called something Jammers. Yeah, whatever.
Don't know.
I know, because it was odd because they sold them in a Disney store in Oxford Street when that reopened for a little while. They did a section there, it didn't last very long. But it was that, and then it was a Diana exhibition. Or that might have been before. Which is very odd. And then obviously it became Splitsville. But you'd have thought with the relationship that Disney have with Apple, the connections there, that they've been primed for a shop.
Yeah, I think they're missing out.
And I know Planet Hollywood's changing, but no change yet to Blue Man Group.
Well, the strange thing about Planet Hollywood was when they announced that Disney Springs was happening, they said, all right, it's going to be the observatory, Planet Hollywood is going. And they've continued on with the design, because the design outside, they were doing it while I was there, and it's absolutely spot on to the concept art. But now all of a sudden Planet Hollywood is staying, and the Planet Hollywood name was being revised. They're putting up the Vegas logo.
Yes, yeah, because pretty much, I think the only one now that's left that has that original sign is probably Paris.
Oh, right.
Because London also, I mean, I refer to it as a Times Square look more than a Vegas look. But yeah, the London Planet Hollywood now looks like the one in Times Square on a smaller scale.
Gotcha.
But Paris still looks like what Disney Springs and Downtown Disney used to be, which was the globe that you used to kind of walk up the stairs to.
Yeah.
So
But what's strange is they said they were going, and then all of a sudden, oh, they're staying now. And they're now trying to cram the logo into the design.
Well, it's funny because I've really got, and I don't know why, but I've always had a soft spot for Planet Hollywood.
Yeah.
It fascinates me. The whole concept of it fascinates me, and the fact that there were, you know, loads of restaurants, like almost 100 restaurants, and now there's like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
You know, I just find the whole thing quite fascinating, and it's got, and this will be a segue into what we talk about next, a massive hotel and casino.
Yeah.
You know,
There was also, oh no, maybe it was Hard Rock. I remember last year we drove to Tampa, and on the way there, we saw a casino in Florida. I don't know if it was Planet Hollywood or if it was Hard Rock.
I think it's a Hard Rock.
Hard Rock.
Hard Rock do have a few casinos.
Okay. It was just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Well, it was Indian burial ground, I imagine.
Oh,
Or
yeah.
reservation ground.
Yeah.
That tends to be how those things get around. Right, so it's time to talk about the other sponsor we have for the After Dark Podcast Network. And gents, if you were thinking, as you have done previously and you will do again, if you was thinking about booking a trip to, you know, one of the parks that we've talked about, who would you think of asking or at least approaching?
Well, there's only one name that springs to mind only.
Wendy. So Wendy's so famous, she's only got one name, like Madonna or Cher. Well, it's not actually true. She has 2 because she's got a surname as well, which is Prater. So of course, Wendy Prater at Magical Journeys Travel. We're so well prepared with this. It's like we've been practicing all day, finishing off each other's
Sentences.
sandwiches. For God's sake, this is totally unorganised. But we may be unorganised, but Wendy is not.
Oh, smooth.
You see,
I love how you did that.
That's what she's there for.
I'm a big fan of your work.
Oh well, we're a big fan of Wendy's work, which is the point. More than that, you know, whether you've been to Disney 1 or 100 times, there's still lots of planning involved, and I think we can all attest to that.
Yep, and our burgers are good as well.
They are. They are. And of course, now with Magic Bands, everything else is even more complex. I mean, geez, the last time I went, it was much easier than it is nowadays. So, you know, Wendy can be the person to take away that pain of getting a reservation for Be Our Guest. Where, friend of the show, that Florida guy just tried the grey stuff.
Yeah.
Hasn't reported back yet as to what it tasted like. And, you know, you could try and get a fast pass for Anna and Elsa. Now, if us mere muggles or mortals tried to get a fast pass for Be Our Guest or Anna and Elsa meet and greets, how successful do you think we would be?
Well, I've already failed. I didn't get an ADR for Be Our Guest.
See?
So I wish I'd gone to Wendy for that one.
Wendy, not just the home of good burgers, but the home of good travel planning. So visit Wendy at wpmagicjourneys.com, or you can contact her on Twitter at wpmagicjourneys. And of course, if you mention that you heard one of our amazing podcasts, and that's how you got to hear of Wendy, she'll give you $25 off your deposit for any trip package. And our own Mr. Ripley at the moment has been on one of the Disney cruises, and she's able to offer generous onboard credits for Disney Cruise Lines as well. Something to bear in mind. So if you are thinking of making a trip, before you go anywhere else, go and find Wendy Pratt at Magical Journeys Travels, wpmagicjourneys.com.
Because if you don't, you'll feel like a prat.
So, as a segue, as we talked about it, your trip didn't just include Orlando.
No, we did also pop over to Sin City.
Now, is this your first trip to Sin City, or had you been before?
Third trip.
Okay. And how many days did you spend in Sin City?
3, which I think is probably more than enough.
Yeah, I've only been once. I loved it, and I was there for a week, and it was the most intense week of my life. I came back needing a vacation.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I had a very full-on week as well with what I did. We went out in May, and it was when everything was going off at the same time. So
the thing is, it drains you because it in return for all of your money,
yes,
and probably your soul as well, it will give you, world class entertainment. It will give you the best hotel rooms, the best restaurants, the best shopping experiences that you can find. But all of that comes at a price, and after a while, it can get incredibly samey, and it's just too ridiculous.
Yeah, it's very odd. Man, have you ever been to Vegas?
No, never. But I think that I might plan to go for a little bit next year.
It is. It's the weirdest place in the world. I went with family. My cousin goes every year with a group of his mates, and I went out one year. He kindly paid for my flight to go, and it is, as Chris said, just the most bizarre place. It just feels like, it's in the middle of a desert, and it appears out of nowhere, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Like,
if you drive there,
there's a desert, and it's just there. Even when you're flying in, it's bizarre. Like, you see nothing for a while. You see all these lovely, like, natural rocks and canyons and stuff, and then it appears, and it feels like it's a little bit like that show Under the Dome or the Simpsons movie, in that it just feels completely within its own microcosm. It's very, very odd. Whereabouts do you stay?
Caesars.
Caesars, okay.
And apparently he doesn't live there.
Ah.
Does he not?
Well, do you know what? That scene from Hangover, I was told by reception that not a day goes past where at least once an hour someone says that to them.
It really doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't surprise me. That's cool. I didn't stay at Caesars. I stayed at the Aria, which is near the Planet Hollywood.
Oh yeah,
it's facing it in that city. I think it's called City. It's not called City Walk. That was obviously taken. But it's a city complex. I can't remember what it's called, but there's a few hotels there, and that's the poshest one. But Caesars is it's certainly one of the most iconic hotels on the Strip.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely stood the test of time. So what did you get up to? What kind of shenanigans did you get up to down there?
We did a helicopter tour down to the Grand Canyon.
Wow.
And I didn't want to go. I didn't want to get in a helicopter.
Oh, why?
Well, I'm not the greatest of flyers, but to be in this tiny little whirly bird going at 100 miles an hour over all this just huge desert rocky terrain didn't fill me with much confidence.
I'm with Chris on this one.
Yeah, so we we got up in the air, and then once you get going and you see how safe it is and all the checks and actually how good, we went with a company called Mavericks, and their helicopters, they were all, they had their own like little mini airport terminal, and the helicopters were all really well looked after and maintained, and it was all very, very professional. So I did feel much more at ease once we got going. The funny thing was that on the tour we did, they land in the canyon.
What?
And Yeah, so we landed in the canyon, and there's some picnic benches, and they get out and they give you a packed lunch, which is like some grapes and a few little finger sandwiches and things. And so you sit there and you can talk to your helicopter pilot. So I was talking to this guy, and he wasn't very old, and he was definitely younger than me, a lot younger than me, and because I didn't really notice, because when he's got the big aviator glasses on and the headset and everything,
Yeah.
you can't really tell how old someone is.
Mm.
Especially in America, where they go, "I'm not over there, the Hoover Dam." You don't really know. Anyway, so when I got talking to him, I could realise he was a lot younger than me. So I said to him, "How long have you been a pilot?"
Oh dear God!
He said,
It's the first day.
He said, 120 hours. I'm doing the maths. I'm thinking to myself, he's only been a bloody pilot for a month. And then I was looking like I went white and quite shocked. And he went, "Oh no, sorry. That's how many hours you need to do to train to be a pilot. I've been a pilot for years." I was like, "Yeah, you've said this one before, mate."
That would mean you've been a pilot since the age of 9.
Yes.
Stop lying, Alan. I can see right through you. Oh.
So then we flew back, and then you fly over the Strip. And actually, when you do fly over the Strip, you realise actually how small Vegas is.
Yes.
It's not a huge like metropolis. It is pretty small, and it's all right on top of each other. And then like the actual airport is sort of right behind all the hotels. Because you spend most of your time indoors, you wouldn't really notice aeroplanes, would you? So
this is it. It's odd because I think it's big, but it's also very small, and it doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah,
it's like an oxymoron, because like Caesars is just so.
You're an oxymoron.
It's so huge. I mean, they laugh because in Caesars, in the basement, there's this Forum Shops. You think, there's a few shops in a Forum down there. You go down there, and it's bigger than Blue Water.
Oh, I mean, it's like in Planet Hollywood, they have the Miracle Mile shops.
Yeah.
Again, just another massive shopping thing. And to anyone that's not been to Vegas, so Amanda and anyone that's not listening, like all of these hotels, not all of them, but most of them have massive shopping malls in them.
Mm.
What I did, the thing that got me when I went to Vegas, I got there at night. Probably got there about 9 o'clock at night, and I was driving in a cab from the airport, and because of where Aria is, we went down the Strip past the Bellagio as the fountains were going off, and you see it in films, and on TV and whatever, and how big it looks, but when you're actually there watching it,
yeah,
you then understand how big everything is. And I think the thing with Vegas is it's probably because everything is so tall.
Yeah.
That it makes everything so encompassing. It's just massive.
Even Penn Jillette.
Even Penn Jillette.
I mean, he's about 7 foot tall.
Yeah, well, he's taller than that on the side of the Rio. But yeah, it's all very, very strange. And the whole scale of everything just seems out of kilter to everything else. Yeah. I think that's what throws me off the most. But you don't. The first hotel I really spent time in was Bellagio, because where that complex is. So we was in the Aria, and there was a train that went between the Monte Carlo, Aria, and Bellagio.
Yeah,
you could just jump on it every few minutes. So we went, got into my room, took my stuff down, and my cousin said, "Right, we're hitting the casino," and went to Bellagio, and it took us about 20 minutes from getting off the train to get into the casino floor. And it was at that point I realised just how big these places were.
And disorientating.
Absolutely. And it's obviously designed for a reason.
Yeah, once you get in, they don't want you to get out again.
Yeah.
I mean, we went to the Cosmo, and no word of a lie, we actually got lost.
Yep.
And I've got a pretty good sense of direction as well.
And it's the theatres that all of these hotels have as well. I mean, when I went to Caesars, I went to see Elton John.
Yes, so did we. This was a previous time.
Yeah. I loved it. I thought he was a great entertainer. Much better than I expected him to be, actually. I thought he put on a really good show.
brilliant show. 100% agree.
And I actually bought it came out. They did a concert version of it on Blu-ray a couple of years ago and DVD that I've got a copy of.
Oh, wow.
Because that piano is awesome. But when we went, we went to see Elton John because we'd gone out. We hadn't gone out to see it, but the Saturday night of that weekend was supposed to be an Amir Khan fight, and it was postponed about a week before it was due to happen. So we got our money back for the tickets, and we looked at what was on that night, and Elton John was playing. So I said, well, I've been before, but I'll go and see him again. So that's the only reason I went. Otherwise, I would have gone. But Wayne Rooney was there in the crowd.
Wow.
I can't remember if there was someone else there as well, actually, but I know he pulled him out of the crowd because of that. But no, I thought it was a cracking show. But even like those venues are huge. And the next day, we went to MGM and we went to the Billboard Awards.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is kind of like the Brit Awards, I suppose.
Wow.
Except that you know, members of the public can buy tickets.
Yeah.
So while it's a very corporate event, you know, this was open to the public. So we went there, and you know, that arena in this hotel is the size of the O2 arena.
Mind blowing.
It absolutely is just phenomenal. And these all have Cirque du Soleils as well.
Yeah.
Or nearly all the hotels have a Cirque du Soleil show.
You can't move for Cirque du Soleil.
No, it's amazing. And the variety of them as well. I think that's where they have the advantage over like downtown Disney and the fact that show's been going on for like 20 years.
I tell you what else I saw.
Yep.
Porn. No, not that porn.
What?
Amanda, put your mind out the gutter. The
porn stars?
Porn stars, all-star gold and silver porn shop.
Yeah, their TV show.
Yes.
And it's quite crummy.
Yeah.
It's quite small as well.
Well, because isn't that? Am I right in thinking that's that's off the strip, but it's just off the strip. So
yeah,
it's kind of north.
If you go to the very north of the strip, it kind of splits.
Yeah.
It kind of does a fork, and one of the forks it goes down towards Fremont Street, which is like the old downtown.
Yeah.
And it's sort of like halfway down that road towards the old town.
Yeah, because the other odd thing as well with Vegas, because you know, reading up on it and stuff, was there's a hotel down there called the Fulton Blue. But it's like 75% complete. It's quite a big blue building, and from looking at it, it looks quite finished. Except, like the building looks finished, except there's nothing else there. There's no kind of car park or anything. It's just there, and yeah, it got about 75% complete, and then the money ran out, and it's been sat there for about 10 years.
See, I heard, because we were on a tour, and the guy said that the money ran out, but also somebody had allegedly bribed the city hall, and all of the foundations were wrong.
Well, it's possible because where Aria is, there was a tower built. I want to say it was called Harmon Tower, and it was supposed to be condos. So you had the Aria Hotel, and then next to it you had this massive tower that was just for apartments for people to actually buy.
Yeah.
And that was quite complete, and they found out like the first 13 floors or something weren't stable because of the foundations.
Yeah, I'm wrong. You're right. I've got muddled up. That's the one.
It's possible happens to that as well.
They've got to demolish it and rebuild it, but there's no money to do it.
No, so they've just imploded it. Actually, no, so they didn't implode it. They were talking about that, but they just basically took it apart, bit by bit, and it's pretty much all down now. But it's taken a long time. The hotel opened up, I think, 2009, and that tower obviously never opened at all. So it's a very odd place. It's very rich, and at the same time, you hear like Caesars went bankrupt, and
I know,
like recently as well.
Ow.
And you know, that's it. You can't comprehend it, can you? It's crazy. But they go bankrupt and they stay open.
I know. How does that
work? That's the crazy thing. But yeah, did you eat in any fancy restaurants?
I wouldn't say fancy, but we did eat in Gordon Ramsay's restaurant in Caesars. It's a inverted commas pub.
Oh, it was Gordon Ramsay's pub, because I
Yeah.
love Hell's Kitchen. I don't watch reality TV, but I do watch Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah,
So I know about Gordon Ramsay's pub.
yeah. I wouldn't say the food is brilliant there.
Okay.
I was a bit let down really because I've been to one of his ones in London, and the food was like really exceptional. So it was okay. You know, I wouldn't rush back.
The week we went was also his first restaurant opened up in Vegas in Paris, which is just called
Wow.
Gordon Ramsay Steak.
Yeah.
And because it wasn't expected to open for another couple of weeks, so we were able to get reservations because they hadn't had any reservations that week. And it was amazing. It was bloody expensive. It was about $75, I think, for my fillet steak. But I'd never had steak like it before. Just everything was great about it. And you know, it's all the little kind of little touches they put on. So it's in the Paris hotel. To get into the restaurant, they've built a very small kind of tunnel.
Oh yeah.
So it's supposed to represent the Channel Tunnel. So you leave in France to go to England.
Oh, brilliant.
That's the concept. And he just opened up 2 weeks ago, I think it was. My cousin was out there. And again, it must be something to do with my cousin. He went out there. He took a trip to see the Pet Shop Boys in Vegas.
Oh yeah.
Because they were playing the Cosmopolitan. So he went out there, and Gordon Ramsay just opened up a fish and chip shop called Gordon Ramsay Fish and Chips. And the doors to get into that are giant telephone boxes.
What?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Not real ones, but...
I want to go to Judy Dench's fish and chip shop.
Judy Dench has a fish and chip shop.
Well, this is the rumour. But I've never seen one.
I don't even know where
Where's
to begin with
this?
this.
Well, it was on an episode of The Simpsons. So it's got to be true. They went to Vegas and there was Judy Dench's fish and chip shop. So I actually called Spaceship.
Really real.
Well, I actually call Spaceship Earth Judy Dench's fish and chip shop ride.
This reminds me. I in a previous job, I was going out with a salesman. I was doing some customer visits, and we was driving around for a couple of hours to get to where the customers were, and we were chatting away, and he came from Kent, and we was talking. We got into talking about restaurants for some reason. I can't remember why, and he said, "Oh, I really want to go to Michael Caine's restaurant." Michael Caine?
Yeah, I know where you're going.
I didn't realise he had a restaurant. He said, "Oh yeah, he's really into his food apparently, and." Someone told me about it. He said, I'm trying to get some reservations. Apparently, it gets booked up quite far in advance. And but I'm desperate to go down. I was like, oh bloody hell! I had no idea. I'd never heard of this, and I quite liked him as an actor, but didn't know he had his own restaurant. Anyway, cue about a year or so later, when I remembered this story, I thought, oh, let me see if I can find this place, and was like, who's that guy?
Yeah.
That ain't Michael Caine. I mean, it is Michael Caine, but not the Michael Caine that I was thinking of. And he also he had one arm.
Yeah, he had a motorcycle accident. It's actually in my hometown, that restaurant. It's not very good.
I thought it was. Oh, really?
Yeah, it's not very good. We never go there.
No one wants to say anything because he's only got one arm. You don't upset him.
It's armless banter, isn't it? Ooh.
Oh, on a roll.
Give him a hand.
So
stop it.
Was there anything else in Vegas that you did that was exciting?
We did that. No, because we was only there for a short period. But top tip, we flew with Southwest Air, and they are the only airline that goes direct from Orlando. So that's a little top tip, because a lot of people have to fly to LA first and then fly on to Vegas.
All right.
So if you don't want all that buggering around, go Southwest Air. And the other top tip, which we didn't do this time, but we've done it on other occasions. Also, I got two more top tips.
Okay.
This top tip is, if you go to Vegas, you can drive to California, so you can go see Disneyland. I've done that. It's about a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, it's not too far.
No, it's not too far. Literally, you just put the car in what do you call it? Mode. Cruise mode. Where it just put it in cruise mode and leave it because the road is just as straight as an arrow.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can do that. And the other top tip was if you fly out of Gatwick, like I do, I'm sure you do, Nick.
Yes.
Virgin and I think BA, but definitely Virgin, they fly back to Gatwick from Vegas.
Okay.
So if you park at Gatwick, obviously you can fly to Orlando, then fly to Vegas, and then fly back to Gatwick.
Yeah, because I went from Heathrow, and I got a train from Essex. Got a train all the way down there. But on the way back, I couldn't get a direct flight, so I had to go via Chicago.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was gutting because the thing is, my stopover was about 2 hours. So
Yeah.
I couldn't leave the airport because when you look at where Chicago Airport is to Chicago, it'd probably take you about half an hour in a cab to get into Chicago. So you've got no time to really look at anything before you have to get in a cab and get back again before they close the boarding. So I just sat in an airport for a couple of hours twiddling my thumbs, which was so it's a shame. So I can say I've been to Chicago, I just haven't seen it. But yeah, so that was slightly. But no, the reason why I said earlier on about Kiss was because, and this is a top tip for anyone when they next go to Vegas, is if you go to the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, which is just off the Strip, but not in downtown, there is across the road from it Kiss mini golf.
What?
Oh yes.
That sounds like the best time ever.
Oh, it's amazing because it's indoor, it's all backlit, so everything glows. It just plays Kiss music, as you'd expect. Halfway around the course is a really crappy animatronic version of the band doing very slight movements to their music.
Wow.
It looks it's like the Chuck E. Cheese version of Kiss. It's hilarious.
Okay, I need to go to this.
And the last hole, and I will tell you this because as soon as you Google Kiss like Crazy Golf, it's probably the first image you'll see. The last hole is a massive Gene Simmons head with his tongue being the ramp you need to get the ball up to get into his mouth to win the hole.
So it's a life-size version of his tongue then?
Yes, absolutely. And it's got a chapel. You can get married there. There's a Kiss shop. You can buy everything from condoms to caskets. I left with just a golf ball, a Kiss Crazy Golf ball, because that was enough. That and the photos were all I needed to take away with me. But it was brilliant, and it's the same. I think it's Monster Crazy Golf. They have a couple of courses on iDrive as well.
Okay, I'm going to Las Vegas. I'm going to go to this Kiss mini golf, and I'm going to get married there and buy a golf ball.
That's it. Yeah, one step more than I did, but yeah, absolutely.
We walked past the chapel, the wedding chapel from the film Hangover.
Yep.
It is an actual wedding chapel, like a drive-through thing.
Yeah.
And there's actually a sign up, and it says, "If it's good enough for Heather Graham, Michael Jordan, and Joan Collins, then it's good enough for you."
What better recommendation do you need than that?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's quite enough. I think another information-packed episode of Dis After Dark is going to draw to a close.
And we didn't even talk about my cruise.
Well, there's always room for one more
episode
to come. Yeah, that's awesome. What a time you had. God, it shows up my my couple of days down at the caravan park. Not quite as exciting, absolutely not. But thank you for giving us your reports of your trips. It does sound like you both had amazing times, even though they were slightly different. Both sound amazing, so very, very jealous. But thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you for listening. More importantly, we love your support and appreciate you giving us this time every week to hear our voices. And we will speak to you all in a few
Thank you
weeks'
for the
time.
downloads.
Oh God, the downloads.
They've gone crazy.
They
Yeah.
have gone crazy. I mean, some people might contribute that to certain people being back. Don't know. Depends whose ego you want to listen to, but either way, it's very much appreciated because this is just our hobby. We don't get paid for it. We wish we did. Our sponsors are purely there to keep us alive and on air for you to listen to. So, we appreciate the fact that people want to spend time listening to us. And give us a high five if you see us in the street. It just makes us feel loved. But thank you, and we'll see you in, I don't know, couple of weeks' time. God knows when we record these things anymore. It'll probably be sooner than you think.
Yeah.
This podcast is part of the After Dark Podcast Network.